a student at Western Carolina University. Today is October 14th, 2017, and we're at the Union County Public Library. Today we're going to talk about story time versus screen time, a parent's guide to finding a balance. By a show of hands, how many of your children have a personal book collection at home? How many of your children have access to a tablet, TV, or an iPad? All right. In the increasing age of technology usage that we're in today, you can help your child become a better reader and writer by utilizing some different resources and tools to help balance their exposure between physical book reading and the world behind the screen. Now I can relate firsthand to this with you in that I'm a parent just like you are. I have a 21-month-old son and a 3-month-old daughter. My son has a very predictable and rigid nighttime routine. He likes bath time, PJs, and Love Forever. My absolute favorite part of the day is coming home and hearing him say read, crawl up in my lap, turn the pages with me, and fall to sleep at the sound of my words. However, let's be realistic for a moment. There are times when I cannot physically sit down and read with him. I'm caring for my other child, I'm making dinner, or I'm getting ready. So I'm guilty. I'm guilty of picking up my phone, clicking over to YouTube, clicking on Peppa Pig, and handing it to him. So parents, I can identify with your struggles. Secondly, I'm a preschool teacher to 24 4- and 5-year-olds, and this is a portrait one of my students drew of me. Every day, my job is to make their learning fun and exciting and help them take what they've learned from inside the walls of the classroom outside to their world. And part of their academic success hinges on how good their literacy skills are. Well, today I'm going to talk about what literacy is, some common terms and concepts, the facts behind physical book reading and screen time, as well as some tips to help you bring a balance to both of those worlds. The early years are a critical time when their literacy skills develop, and knowing how literacy develops and what literacy is will help us choose some materials to maximize their literacy learning. And one way to do this is through knowing what literacy is. Literacy is the idea of being able to read and write. According to Webster's Dictionary, that's what they define it as. And it's almost impossible to effectively communicate with other people without this skill. My job every day is to help young children become literate people. In my classroom, we use the creative curriculum, and it states that language and literacy go hand in hand to help us communicate. There's some 7 basic parts to the concept of literacy. Those include enjoyable experiences that come with close contact with the speaker and an interesting topic to the listener. There's vocabulary, phonological awareness, which means that letters have sounds, print knowledge, that means words have meaning, and conventions, which means the way that we read. We read a certain way. We read left to right, top to bottom, and front to back. Letters and words go together, and comprehension is the main goal of reading in that it's supposed to retain what you're reading and use your pictures as clues, as well as books and other texts. So now that we know that the early years are crucial for their literacy skills, let's look at how we can help maximize that learning. And one way is through physically reading a book together. In my spare time, I love reading for pleasure. There are many times when I can personally identify with the characters in the novels that I'm reading. I bet many of you have done that as well. Did you ever talk about what you read with a friend? Did you blog about it? Or did you talk about it in a book club? Children do the exact same thing. In a 2013 study done from Temple University, it said that the sole purpose of reading is dialogic, which just means that it's supposed to spark a conversation and relate to their real life. And since language and literacy go hand in hand, reading the text is the literacy component, but talking about the text is the language part. So you may be asking yourself, what book should my children be reading? And the answer is simple: what interests them? According to the School Library Journal, it states that the importance of reading is to help children choose their own books versus just staying with what's on their reading level. It helps to build a sense of self as the reader and confidence as an effective literacy person. And there's some different ways that we can do that. In my classroom, we like to use the concept of bibliotherapy therapy a lot, which just means that it's using books to relate to children's real life situations. Their lives are stressful. They're going through a lot of processes and changes in their lives. It's hard for them to process. And there's the way of using books to identify with the characters in the books to help them process that stress. One way to do that is perhaps a child has a new sibling and they're having a hard time processing it. Peter's Chair is a great book for that. If they have jitters about starting the first day of school the night before kindergarten, is great for that. But perhaps a child is entering the child care center setting for the first time. The Kissing Hand is a great book for that because it talks about separation anxieties. Concept books are also great because They talk about different things that they're learning at the time. The Very Caterpillar is a great book for talking about the life cycle of a butterfly, as well as the days of the week. And Brown Bear is also a great book for identifying colors. Interactive board books with pull tabs like the Peter Rabbit book displayed below is a great book to keep little hands busy when they're reading, as well as board books because they have sturdy pages to help the reader. And then once they start reading for their own, they can start moving their way up to Rebus readers that have words with pictures, and ultimately make it to easy readers where they can read independently for the first time. So where can you get these books for your children? The local public library right here is a great place to start. Another way to do that is through the monthly Scholastic magazine mail-out, or you can go directly to scholastic.com. But my personal favorite is having a neighborhood book exchange because it helps create a sense of community while establishing the importance of literacy. So now that we know that reading a physical book is just one way to practice some literacy skills, let's talk about how media plays a part. Technology is everywhere in this day and age, and we can't deny it. Smartphones, tablets, iPads, TVs, even the projector I'm doing this presentation on can all testify to this. The term screen time is simply just time spent viewing a screen. But we can use technology advances to help our children learn and not just passively entertain themselves. Well, what is the intended purpose of technology in education? According to an article in Early Childhood News, it states that the purpose of technology is to enrich and expand their learning, to reinforce, not replace, and to supplement their learning. The 2013 study I mentioned earlier talked about how ebooks read on tablets with children ages 3 to 5 dramatically increases the quality of their interactions. Physical book reading involves turning the pages, pointing at the topics, pointing at the pages, and talking about the storyline. It also showed a dramatic decrease in reading comprehension skills because there was more focus on operating the device versus the plot of the story. Well, what does the American Academy of Pediatrics have to say about this? Their latest release of media recommendations for children states that children under 18 months of age should have no experience with screen time except for video chatting and a distant relative. Children ages 18 to 24 months should co-watch some high-quality programming with an adult. Children ages 2 to 5 years old should watch a maximum of an hour a day of monitored, co-watched screen time and talk about how the concepts relate to their real life. And children ages 6 and up should have a time limit set. What apps and games should I allow my children to use? High-quality programming mentioned earlier is anything that's educational, and a great facet for this is through PBS. Shows like Sesame Street and Super White is a great place to start. Modern shows can also count as educational if they're co-watched and you talk about what the issues are in it. Bubble Guppies and Mickey Mouse Clubhouse are great for creating foundational preliminary literacy skills and math skills, but ABC Mouse is also a good facet for children who are older. This is an excerpt from a screenshot from their website that talks about their reading curriculum talks about letter recognition, rhyming words, and words families. So now that we know the research behind physical book reading and screen time, how can we balance our time in between? Here's some tips and strategies. You can have a weekly or even a bi-weekly library trip with your child. Give them their own library card. Help them pick out their own books. Have some close physical contact with them when you're reading. There's some studies that show that the closer the physical contact, the higher the positive sense of attachment, and it helps solidify the concept that reading can be a pleasurable experience. Have a book box in your car for travel. If at all possible, try to avoid using technology as a babysitter and use interactive versus passive forms of entertainment. Set some limits on their media time. Have no TVs or tablets in the room and try to keep away from unsupervised screen time. But most importantly, the goal of this entire presentation is to focus on talking, talking, and talking. Ask them what they're reading. Ask them if they were that character in that book, how would they respond? What would they do differently? How do they feel? If you notice they're working with letters, be like, I know that you're working on the letter T. Can you tell me what sound T makes? Tuck, tuck, tuck. Stuff like that is great ways to get the conversation started. So, what's the bottom line of this whole presentation? The bottom line is simply this. We cannot deny that technology is everywhere. It's a part of our daily lives. It's a part of our society. So that now that we know what literacy is, we can work together to use technology in a positive way to help our children be successful readers and writers while still keeping the tradition of physical book reading. As parents and educators, our job is to equip our children with all the tools necessary to help them become successful readers and writers and successful long-term learners. Balancing their time between story time and screen time will help them be literate members of tomorrow's world. Because after all, the most important app is human. Thank you all for coming out today.